If somebody else is, but then if you do see it, you know, and everybody else says that can never happen, and you seriously see it and truly believe it, then it can happen. But it also, I think, comes from you actually visualizing, putting yourself in that situation, doing that and living that life. Because if you can't see yourself in that situation, you're never going to take the steps to make it happen. Right.
No, it's absolutely true. Because what I was mentioning earlier is someone told me, you know, thought plus emotion equals form, meaning that and if you want something in your life, if you want to create something in your life, let's say like, I don't know, financial abundance, then in order to create that, you have to have the thought of abundance, meaning everything you think about yourself is that you're abundant financially, because that's the thing they're working on. And you also have to do what it takes to feel that, to emotionally feel, oh, I'm so lucky, I'm so abundant. And that thought and that feeling combined together will bring it to you, you know? Doesn't even matter necessarily like how you go about it, just having that faith will bring it to you. And other like people I've heard say, you know, basically the vibration you send out is what you get back. And so people, they think they're thinking or sending out the vibration of like, oh, I want my soulmate. I want to meet my soulmate. I need to find my soulmate.
Just feel my thoughts.
Yeah. But what they're actually sending out is the thought of, my soulmate is not here. You know? So I think thinking the thought like it's already, the thing you want has already happened, and then doing whatever it takes to feel that really brings it about.
But I also think it has to do with thinking positive and being happy. Nobody wants to be, I mean, around negative people. So if you're sitting here walking around like the world hates you and you hate the world or whatever, people are going to react to your negativity, your negative energy. And people don't realize, I think a lot of times, what they're sending out to other people. It's like, I mean, you can get in an elevator with two different people and they're going to send you two different, you know, messages to you. You know, they're going to have two different auras, you know. And if you take the time to say hi, you're going to send a totally different message because for some reason nobody says hi in an elevator. But it's just, I think also the kind of energy that you give to people, the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you walk and, you know, talk and all that kind of stuff, I think has a lot to do with it as well. Because if you're down and you're depressed and you're like looking at the ground and you're walking, you're all slumped over, you know, you're going to be sending out all kinds of messages to other people about that too. And so all that kind of stuff also plays a part into your thinking, which plays a part into the emotion and the form. And, you know, so I think it all stems from believing in yourself and believing that this can happen, this is what I want. But once you do that, how do you go about making it happen?
I think, you know, what we were just talking about is like you can't build a house without a foundation. And you can't manifest your dream without that inner work first, meaning like the vision and the feeling that you've already have it and the belief in yourself. You know, that's the hardest step for a lot of people, is knowing what they want. Or even being able to picture it.
So how do they do that? How do they find that?
You know, I usually tell people, because, you know, I'm always fascinated by finding out from people, you know, when I usually ask them, you know, if you had no limitations, no limitations whatsoever, whatever you wanted, you could have instantly, what would your life look like? What would you be doing? Describe your day-to-day life to me. What would you be doing? And it's always amazing to me, like, how what they're telling me is so different from what they're doing.
Well, so what if you say, I'd be traveling all the time, but right now you have no money to be traveling? I mean, how do you somehow make traveling your reality?
Well, usually when I ask people that, you know, like when I'm in a spiritual counseling mode, there's usually something underneath the traveling. Like I usually like to try and find out what is the feeling or what is the desire underneath that. And then usually, you know, like for example, traveling, someone might say, you know, hypothetically, like, well, it's just so exciting for me to learn about different cultures or communicate with people or learn about this or learn about that. And that that deep excitement, you find out it's about, you know, a love of new experiences,
right.
or a love of freedom, you know, or kind of broader
right.
terms. And when you find out from someone what it really, that feeling really that they love and want their whole life to be about, then it's much easier in some ways to say, oh, okay, well, let's talk about how do you achieve that feeling every day? What can you do for yourself on a, almost like a writing a to-do list for your life? Like, what could you do for yourself immediately, like a little thing every day that's doable, and then a longer term thing. What could you do? Could you do, let's say, okay, your dream is to travel around the world. You could plan that for who knows whenever. But in the immediate here and now, you could do something to feel
like
that
what?
same feeling. Well, like the travel thing, somebody could maybe call a few travel agencies, or call or go to a museum or something that's got different exhibits from other cultures, and they may not even know what they're looking for, but just the excitement of capturing that same feeling that they dream about, it will raise their vibration or their enthusiasm. And it's amazing, like when you have that excitement, it's amazing how many weird little coincidences happen, or lucky things. And you're like, you know, you're like at an exhibit, and all of a sudden you end up chatting with the person next to you, who turns out to be someone looking for someone to hire to travel around the world. Or, I mean, I hear about that stuff all the time. You know,
that's funny.
So, and I also think that when you start taking active, like having the vision, you know, and the belief, and then taking little steps every day as well as larger steps towards your end desire, you also subtly, or not so subtly, start changing the world you're in, like the people you're around.
You also change your perspective a lot.
Yeah, and you're happier, and that attracts different people to you. You stand out, because most people, unfortunately, are unhappy.
Well, and it's amazing because, you know, I really believe that your perception is your reality. So if you're walking around and you're in a bad mood, you're thinking everybody's being rude to you. You're thinking, how can this person cut me off, blah, blah. But when you're going around, you're in a happy mood, the same things could happen, and you're just like, well, it's people, you know, or whatever. And it's like, but whenever your perceptions, you know, skewed or whatever, your reality becomes totally different too.
Right. It's so true. So true.
And I love that, because like I always say, okay, well, you know, I always try and see someone else's viewpoint on something and whatnot, because I'm like, they're living in a totally different reality than I am, you know, even if we're having the same conversation, their reality's totally different. So what if people say, well, I don't have the time to do these little things every day? How long does it take? I mean, like, what kind of little things do they need to do?
Well, I think if people say, like, well, I don't have the time to do that, then I think that maybe they're not really ready. Maybe the fear is too great for them to change their life around.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with a lot.
Yeah.
The fear, people don't do a lot of stuff because of the fear for whatever reason of doing it. So what do you have to do to get over the fear, or to deal with the fear?
You know, that's a really interesting question. And I think, you know, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, in my personal experience, it's been to just sort of almost like detach from the fear. Like to acknowledge, okay, I'm scared, silly about taking this step into the unknown, or not having this full-time job that I used to have, but I'm going to do it anyway. So it's almost like you don't need to get rid of the fear as much as just acknowledge that it's there and not let it stop you. Say, okay, well, whatever. I'm terrified, but what have I got to lose? You know, it's like that old poem or story that, you know, people pass around the internet about the lady who was on her deathbed, and she was saying, like, just remember to do all these important things in life.
Oh,
you
really?
know? Like when you look back in your life, it'll be the things that you didn't do, or never tried, that you'll regret.
So what is your vision, and like kind of you told us your path to get to it, but what was your vision of yourself?